Hey friends, welcome back to Crime Adjacent, the #1 true crime podcast in the world, thanks to you. I'm glad you're here because we have updates. Boy, do we have updates. And this one, surprise, surprise, is a little nerdy. But by this point, there's no hiding it. I love that nerdy sweet spot where sociology and true crime converge. So let's get into it. Here's where things stand. On September 3rd, 2024, realtor Yuki Sugita was killed in an open house in Traverse City. The murder weapon? Ropes and a knife. A few weeks later, on Friday, September 27th, and roughly 50 miles away from Traverse City, USA rugby player Aubrey Ertz was attacked in her cabin on Walloon Lake. She was actually the third woman to be attacked in a similar fashion that month on the lake. These attacks were so different and so far away from Sugita's murder that no one put it together. Why would they? Because what was happening on Walloon was just incredibly bizarre and didn't involve murder. A man in a Halloween clown mask broke into the cabins of vacationing women, watched them sleep, crept to the foot of their beds, and then rubbed their feet. He escaped each time, even after Ertz pummeled him with a vicious right cross, but each woman said the same thing. He was not just wearing a Halloween clown mask, he was wearing a long, tan coat. They were sure of it. They couldn't miss it. It trailed behind him as he disappeared into the early morning, like a phantom. There were so many clues at this point. A clown mask, red hair, ropes tied to both the murder and then the break-in at Ertz's cabin. That was the first link. Then, there was the strong likelihood the suspect now possibly sported a black eye, thanks to Ertz. And then, on top of all of this, there was the tan coat. Sheriff Press suspected one man in particular, Tim Meeks, who had a history of peeping in the area and has not been seen for days or even weeks. He was the only real suspect in this case at this point. And yet, there was nothing other than rumor and conjecture linking these mounting clues to him, until we spotted what was hanging in his closet. Here's the story. But first, the second True Crime College is tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific time over at the Patreon site, patreon.com/crimeadjacent. I intended to tell you all about it today, but something happened. I have bad news. It's an update on the zip tie killer, and I thought you should know. Nikki has been up in Vermont. A local sheriff gave her a call. They had a murder in a small, rural farming community. The woman's name was Beatrice Sanchez, a beloved school teacher, a mom of orphans. Over the years, Beatrice took in 4 children who had been abandoned by their parents and gave them a fresh start. We've been in touch. The older kids, adults now, said they wanted their mother to be celebrated, to let the world know about her life, not just as a connection to a killer. Vibrant, caring, strong-willed, cursed like a sailor on shore leave, had sex when she could. The older kids grew to understand that their mandated annual summer sleepaway camp was basically her annual Rumspringa. Small town. People talked. She laughed, woke up each morning at 5 to milk cows and prepare lunches, and spent all evening with homework and college essays. They adored her, felt safe with her. This sounds so achingly familiar to my story, and Nikki's, and Susan's, a mom of orphans, a mom who gave new life to so many, taken far too soon. I just wanted to keep you up to speed. It's why we started this podcast in the first place, to unite with the true crime community, to bring down this killer once and for all. But some days it's just hard. I want you to remember Beatrice on her farm, with her kids and her cows, laughing and cursing and hunched over a kitchen table, quietly gifting a new life to so many. So from our chosen family here in San Francisco to hers, this is Crime Adjacent, and our hunt will never end. I promise you. I'm Chase Patrick. I told you this episode would get nerdy, don't they all? And this might indeed seem like a wild, nerdy tangent, I know, but it's connected to this case, I promise. So the phrase, keeping up with the Joneses, you've heard that, right? One person in a social circle buys a car or a house and takes a trip, and everyone tries to keep up. We might all do this on some level, or at the very least that cruel goblin of comparison creeps in every now and then. Been there, totally. That's why I love sociology, I think, besides the fact that I fondly recall all of Susan's gentle lessons and love for the field. It's what we both loved, I think. You can pick basically any part of human action or interaction, and you can be sure that someone has studied it, maybe written some grand theory about it, and helped better explain the world around us and why we do the things we do, or feel the way we feel from situation to situation. Surprisingly, this is all a secret power in true crime because it provides so much quiet insight into human motivation and who and why people commit crimes. As I was staring at yet another small clue in this case, my mind immediately flashed to Thorstein Veblen, an early sociologist from the 1800s. In Theory of the Leisure Class, published in 1899, yes, the dude studied the well-heeled and wrote about it. Veblen gave us early examples of that phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. I promise there's a connection to this case. He called that phrase, keeping up with the Joneses, pecuniary emulation, which doesn't quite have the same ring as keeping up with the Joneses, but it's the same idea. He was studying what he called the leisure class, or those rich enough to not really have to work anymore. And they still had to prove their status in a society that values the marketplace, like if you're not working or working hard, are you even a person? But also, America doesn't have knights and earls and barons and landed gentry and such. And so without those rankings and roles, how do we even know the super rich are super rich, that they're better than us? Enter consumerism. Veblen coined the term conspicuous consumption for purchases or activities that display status, like that one neighbor doesn't work, but he also has a Rolls Royce in the garage. It's a tell, a signal that he's rich, really rich. And when it comes to clothes, I'm sure you've noticed this in your everyday life, and maybe you've participated in it. I have. I know the game and still get pulled into it. We all do on some level. Here's an example of clothes and status. Have you ever seen those fancy shoes with red soles? Do you know the name of them and the price tag? Those red soles, those are what's called a loud signal of wealth, and it can be used to signal status. Honestly, even knowing what those red soles are meant to signal is a sign that you're in the know. There are so many signals like this all around us, like that atrocious plaid design on one particular brand of coats, or those purses crawling with actual brand logos. In the field of conspicuous consumption, all of these are what is known as loud signifiers. They shout out that the purchaser has money and wants to be known as someone who appreciates higher-end brands, even if they have to quite literally wear the brands like a walking advertisement. Then there's what's called experiential flexing, which you can remember when a coworker goes on and on about an expensive trip or a fancy hotel suite. But my favorite are the quiet signals, like the tiny little markers that rich people use to say, I'm so ungodly rich that I don't even need to advertise it, and you'll never know. Like, I remember I was on a book signing trip in New York and saw Ralph Lauren, the designer, walking out of a building. It was unmistakable, and I barely even recall seeing his face. I was drawn instead to his suit and his coat. His coat just looked insanely, impossibly soft and sturdy at the same time. It screamed money. You could just tell. Which is exactly what I thought when I saw the tan coat hanging in the armoire closet of Tim Meeks. It screamed money. On the one hand, it looked like a long tan coat, like the kind worn in winter over a nice suit. But this coat, it looked so expensive. You could tell. The fabric was soft, like to the eyes, before you even touched it. Cashmere, maybe. It just shouted luxury. Drape and stitch and color and buttons. Some tailor in Italy had a field day with this one. I clocked the label inside the neck, and it turns out this type of coat, a chiton or kitten, I honestly don't even know how to pronounce that name, which might be a tell about how wildly expensive this brand is. I checked online, and sure enough, a tan coat like this sells for nearly, wait for it, $10,000. The questions practically rain down at this point, because how could Meeks, a dock worker, paid under the table and only employed seasonally, how could he afford this thing? Did someone give it to him? Did he steal it during one of his nighttime break-ins? After all, this lake is pricey as all get out, home to a few older generational families who passed cabins down the line, yes, but also home to millionaires and actual billionaires who called this lake their second or third or fourth summer homes. Did one of these rich folks own this coat? I asked Sheriff Press if this was it. Was this finally enough to get a warrant and pick through Meeks's things? Press was unsure. Maybe, maybe not. We had just found ropes similar to those used in Sugita's murder in Ertz's cabin creeping in the downstairs section of this boathouse, and now we had the tan coat. That seemed like enough. And yet, I could see Press working this out in her head, like what to put on a warrant application. Judge, let me tell you about Thorsten Veblen and conspicuous consumption and loud signals of wealth and how it relates to this case. In this essay, I get it. It was, once again, just a small clue on the periphery that didn't outright prove anything concrete. Press said, we have to find this guy. Then two things happened at the exact same time. One, Press got a call from a state forensics lab technician who was poring over Ertz's cabin, looking for clues left behind by the clown creeper. She didn't find prints or blood or hairs other than the one left on the rope, but she did find something curious. It looked like an ordinary smoke alarm, but the tech noticed that there were a lot of these alarms, all over the house, like too many of them. She inspected one of them, and sure enough, there was a camera inside each one. And like I said, they were everywhere. The bedrooms, the bathrooms, the kitchen, aimed outside where the hot tub is located. Someone was filming inside this cabin as well. And that led to the second thing. Just as soon as Press hung up with the state tech, her phone buzzed again. It was the father of Jimmy Ball, the local high schooler we had just arrested that morning over at Claire's cabin with hidden cameras. Jimmy's father said, "We need to talk. Jimmy wants to tell you everything, but on one condition. He needs protection. We all do." Next time on Crime Adjacent. Remember when I told you Petoskey started coming apart the moment Jimmy Ball came to town in January? Mr. Rodman started sending nudes, Principal O'Hara was arrested for embezzlement, a bookstore clerk was arrested for felony assault for beating up a high schooler. Those events just kept on happening late into September. Because that very day, Friday afternoon, when I went downtown myself before our meeting with Jimmy and his parents, I noticed something strange. There was a man watching me, following me. From the quaint town square to the cafe to the bookstore, he was like a shadow. And when I made it to the vacant, echoey, darkened pedestrian tunnel that connects downtown to the waterfront, he must have thought this was the perfect time to strike. Do you want to learn more about profiling and sociology and true crime and pop culture? Head on over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/crimeadjacent, to join the True Crime College, which is basically a book club with very short reading and lots of chat about cool topics with cool friends. Again, there's a meeting tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific over at the Patreon site, patreon.com/crimeadjacent. I hope to see you there. Until next week, this is Chase Patrick from San Francisco with a reminder, it's not crime, it's crime adjacent.